Hi, this is Pastor Chris and welcome to the first session in The Human Journey. You know, our human life is full of problems and brokenness. From everyday ones that we kind of have to deal with Band-Aids, through to epic ones where we don't even know how to begin, especially some of these big world problems. It's possible for us to just go on with life from issue to issue, but not really begin to gain understanding on why things are even this way and how we can even start to solve them. To deal with this, we must begin to ask the big questions. What is life? Where did we come from? What is the meaning of all of this? And in order to do this, we're going to try to go to the beginning. That's what Genesis is about. You know, the tragedy of our times is that we are too close or too near to our problems. In fact, William's Wordsworth says, "The world is too much with us." What happens when we see very closely our issues is we lose the forest for the trees. Chemists and mathematicians, they don't tackle problems just one problem at a time. In fact, what they do is they step away from it. They go, what is this like? So a chemist would go, I see a chemical. What other chemicals are like this? Does it fall into a category of chemicals? And then what category does that fall into? And having that distance allows you to understand what you're dealing with. We need to go outside of ourselves and we need to benefit from a view of many lives. And we have to look as a whole at the human journey to understand where we fit. So during this series, we're going to look at 4 events: creation, fall, flood, and the Tower of Babel. And then we're going to look at 4 people in a household of faith: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. This is not going to be just purely an intellectual or philosophical exercise. It's very much practical and grounded in the real life of people. The Bible stands alone in making claims for itself that no other book can, but it's also a book that grounds itself in real people's lives, people that are just like us. That's why we're going to Genesis. We need to start at the beginning. Genesis is a book of beginnings, the beginning of the cosmos, the beginning of humanity, the beginning of Israel, and the beginning of our gospel story. In fact, stories are the content of Genesis, and they are so powerful. How is it that the stories of Genesis have persisted for so long, and after thousands of years, it still reflects humanity? How is it that we can read what happens to these people and put ourselves in that story and go, I see a bit of myself in there? The only way to do this is to just get right into it. So let's do that. Genesis begins with, in the beginning, God. They're the first words of Genesis and the first words of the Bible. What we understand from this beginning is that the only way to understand ourselves and our lives is to begin with God. Remember what I was saying about categories and how we can deal with our problems by first looking at categories. Well, here's the first category. Genesis makes it very clear. There is a creator, and then there is his creation. Now, no, it's not hard to guess which category we fall in, right? We are in the category of creation, creature, or the created. We are not God, and Genesis makes that abundantly clear. In fact, we can't even define God because we are his creation. Job 11:7 says, can you, by searching, find out the deep things of God? Or 1 Corinthians 1:27 says, the world by its wisdom knew not God. God has to be the one who shows us by revelation who he is, that he is eternal. Oh my goodness, how can we as humans even understand what eternal means? You see, religion is not escapism or a man-made way to deal with our world and our life. I hope you'll find that secularism or humanism is actually our man-made way to deal with God's world and his life. Because just ask, Did mankind make the world? Are we at the top? The Bible states very clearly, God is at the top. That is the point of the creation story, that God is our creator and we are His creation. But the Bible doesn't stop there. It doesn't just ask you to blindly believe that Jesus is God and everything will be well. In fact, it goes right into the details. The Bible wants you to know who you are, why you are the way you are, what you are, where you are, how you are. The Bible wants you to know why God is proposing what He proposes. That's why there are all these stories in Genesis. It begins with God, and then Genesis goes straight to man. Alexander Pope says, the proper study of mankind is man. And so in Genesis, we're introduced to the first man, Adam. Genesis 1:27 says, God created man in His own image. That's the center of the problem of why am I the way I am. The Bible says that we are inherently meant to be made in the image of God. And when we go away from that, life is just not that great. When we're separated from that, life is not what it was intended to be. I hope that as we begin in Genesis and you look through the creation story, you will see that when we go into a realm of things that no one can possibly understand, like God, eternity, creation, that the Bible is the only one that can give us the ultimate explanations. So if we look ahead, the human journey begins with God. We are created in the image of God. And ultimately this track leads us back to God. So I hope that today in the discussion, you will bring that out. God bless.